everyone, I'm your alibi. Welcome to our new series, Writing Analysis.
In these videos, we are going to do in-depth discussions focusing on a range of writing aspects and practical ways to improve projects by analyzing well-known existing works.
As the title already suggests, our first foray will be into the Clone Wars TV show, focusing largely around the popular character Ahsoka Tano.
We discuss the importance of scene setups and payoffs, the intricacies of dialogue, as well as plotting out proper character growth, and much, much more.
In this video, we'll be focusing on Season 1, Episode 2, Rising Malevolence, where we'll have Ahsoka learn the importance of being tactful/respectful even when not following orders, as well as seeing the value of listening to her instincts and trusting the Force. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, so just a quick recap. The moments that we pointed out in the argument against Ahsoka was Ahsoka insisting that they have to go help, completely disregarding where they are currently positioned to protect a specific area, and she doesn't even wait to hear what the council says. And she obviously didn't care about any of the other times that these attacks happen. She only cares because someone she likes is involved. She's, immediately shows disrespect to Anakin, embarrasses him, and this is, of course, the first occasion that we see the writers covering for her by having Obi-Wan make a comment that it's Anakin's fault. Then she doesn't apologize for her bad behavior. When she tries to explain it, then Anakin assures her that she doesn't need to, and she sulks. And then when she realizes that Anakin is doing what she wanted, she doesn't thank him, she gets angry at him, and he explains that it wasn't the fact that she disobeyed, it was the way that she was being disobedient because she was being disrespectful. She was not concerning herself at all with their current responsibilities. She was just completely ready to drop them and go do what she wanted, and all of that. This is something he tries to teach her here, and I think you could argue elsewhere as well, but definitely it's very blatant here, and she never learns that lesson. And at the end of the episode, the writers have all the praise go to Ahsoka, even though, on her own, it's not like she could have done anything. It's really Anakin who should be getting that praise. I mean, they do thank Anakin, but then he shifts it to Ahsoka, and it's like, no, he should have just, made some humble, I was just doing my duty, instead of, oh no, it's actually...
Why give Ahsoka the praise? She did nothing. How do we want to handle this? Because Ahsoka was supposed to be this character who, started out bad and then grew over time, which she never did. But, yeah. Do we want to handle it like that, where we give her these very obvious flaws from the beginning and then kind of give her actual character growth as we go along?
In that case, the beginning episodes we would probably leave mostly as they are, but then include something that shows a small change. And then we'd have to carry over those changes to the next episodes.
Skywalker's fuse nearby, the bin system.
Perhaps he can reinforce us.
From what I hear, Skywalker's always ready for a fight.
So I've heard.
So right there, they established that it's Anakin that they're going to for help because he's the right guy to go to for help in these situations. His reputation as being the kind of person to help, even if it's against orders, is one of respect. They respect the fact that in a pinch, he'll be there for them. Even if the council kind of is like, sorry guys, no can do. If they reach out to Anakin, he'll probably help them, which is a cool thing.
Yeah.
Right? They do, kind of jab at him on other occasions that he doesn't listen, but at least in this moment, it is kind of portrayed as a good thing, or at least a helpful thing in this regard. There's a difference between good and helpful, useful.
Right.
This is an important meeting, Ahsoka. Remember, be mindful, and speak only when spoken to.
Don't I always?
Oh.
This mystery weapon has struck in a dozen systems and disappeared without a trace. We cannot afford to lose any more ships, my friend.
Obviously, right there, I mean, if we're trying to go for the slow build, wouldn't change that.
If we were to change it, though, because we should probably take more than one approach at this, because there are several different ways that we could go about fixing her character, and it's probably a good idea to explore all of them.
I would probably say, like, because we already decided that we would try to keep the characters as they are, right? So we don't want to, you know,
drastically change them. Yeah.
Do what the writers do and give her a fix her. So I would say that instead of her insisting that we have to go help him, that it's kind of like, oh, we need to go help them. Like, I feel that we should go help them. And I think it would be better if you removed the part where Anakin tells her to be mindful, speak only when spoken to, so that when she does speak up in the council meeting, that it's not embarrassing Anakin and being disobedient. It's just she's headstrong and, you know, wants her opinion heard. So it's kind of like, oh, well, what about this, guys? Right? Like, so she's outspoken instead of just like, oh, right? Because if you have it that he tells her don't say anything and then she doesn't say anything, that doesn't really feel like Ahsoka. But if you have as it is, where he says don't say anything and then she does say something, then it's, you know, like, wow, okay, Ahsoka, you're so dumb. So it would be better if you didn't have him tell her to speak only when spoken to, or you could have it that he does say that, but then she gets spoken to. Like maybe Palpatine asks her opinion, which would be so weird.
Yeah, maybe Obi-Wan. Like it would probably
Obi-Wan
make the
would
most
be
sense
the
for
most
Obi-Wan.
likely, but even him, I think it would be kind of pushing it to have.
Yeah, that's true.
Padawan, what do you think? Right? So that, yeah, no, it wouldn't work to have one of the members ask her what she thinks. So yeah, you would just have to remove Anakin saying spoken to. It wouldn't hurt to have him be like, you know, be mindful and stuff like that, right? But you'd have to remove the speak only when spoken to. Then her interrupting and, oh, we haven't actually gotten to that part, so I'll skip forward to that part after staring at this lovely clone trooper face.
No further contact with General Plo Koon. The absence of distress beacons indicates that his fleet was destroyed like the others. We are about to prepare a rescue mission.
So did you catch that there? Anakin's like little side glance at Ahsoka.
Yeah.
He knows how Plo Koon is to her. He knows that this information is hard for her to hear. He's being sensitive to her.
Yeah.
Do we ever see her act that way toward him?
No.
Ever?
No.
We don't. Oh, she does not learn from him.
Just because there haven't been any survivors before doesn't mean there won't be any this time.
Boldly spoken for one so young. She is learning from Anakin.
Excuse me.
Yeah, remove that line. So untrue.
Like she has a valid point, I guess, but again, it boils down to she only really cares about Plo Koon and nobody else.
But yeah, this moment of her speaking out, like, again, if you had just removed the direct order not to do so, and you removed this line from Obi-Wan saying that it's Anakin's fault, it wouldn't be so bad. You know, she still has that outspokenness to her. You're not taking that away from her, but you're putting it in context so that it comes off better.
Should we maybe like try changing her wording though to make it seem less like I only care about Plo Koon and that's it?
I think you'd have to fix her dialogue surrounding that moment more so, because what she says there is vague enough that if you had established beforehand or afterhand that her concerns are wider than just Plo Koon, it would work. Rather than her being like, I care about everyone. Maybe there's, you know, it just becomes trying to shove that information in that moment. So maybe you had some sort of conversation noting that she's thought this way for all of the previous attacks, right? Like
You'd need more build
one of
up.
them say like, there's been lots of attacks and we've tried. Oh, no, they actually already say that. When they're walking in, that's what they're saying. They're saying, we've already had several attacks and we can't risk any more ships. Like, it sounds like they were checking the salvages of the previous attacks, but they never found anything, and so they're giving up at this point. Yeah, if you just take away her obnoxious, self-centered behavior, then you could believe that she does care about more than just Plo Koon. But I think it would help because they have more conversations in this episode that kind of reveal that that's her concern, and so if you maybe switched those conversations slightly so that it's not, oh, Plo Koon, Plo Koon, Plo Koon, Plo Koon.
I think actually the next line here has to do with that too.
If anyone could survive, Master Plo could.
See, there you go.
What you don't understand is Jedi protocol, or your place, my young Padawan.
Okay, so yeah, that line needs to be changed.
Makes it all about Plo Koon. I think, it would be just good for her to kind of reiterate, like, we can't give up on our fellow soldiers or our fellow Jedi, that kind of thing, right? Like, we're all in this together. We have to keep trying. If we give up hope, like, we wouldn't want to turn it into like a soapbox speech.
Yeah, she gives this whole inspirational
just kind
speech.
Yeah. So if you just kind of keep it short and sweet, just we can't give up, then it's not her suddenly becoming a inspirational speaker. It's her, caring.
Yeah.
But she's being brash and immature about it because she is still young, right? Like, that's part of it. You do want to write a young character.
Yeah.
Act young.
Yes.
Especially want them to be relatable to young audiences, which is her entire point in this series. I mean, it changed to just they fawned over her rather than tried to keep her relatable. But so just something simple and sweet instead of being like, Logo!
So here Anakin says what you don't understand is protocol. And he's absolutely right.
Like, she's my brain was like, la 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 la. It just died.
Okay.
My point was that she's giving no space for Jedi protocol in the way it is currently, because she hears Anakin say, we need to check with the council first, and then she's immediately like, no, we gotta go now. And it's like, okay, did you not just hear what I said? Like, we gotta talk to the council first. We gotta cross our T's and dot our I's, right? Like, see, that's, again, this is what makes Anakin's behavior different from Ahsoka's. He knows he has responsibility here, and he's going to make sure that's taken care of first, and that he's at least tried to go through the proper channels first. And when it doesn't work out, he's going to stick to his convictions anyways. But after he's tried to go through the proper channels and then made sure his responsibilities are taken care of, which is what he's doing right here. And I think, of course, another thing that would stem from writing her better would be that she would be animated better instead of being, if Ahsoka was written to be less bratty, then her animation, her body language would, of course, be less bratty too. But
that's another thing.
The slow development approach, then at least in these first episodes, she might still have that.
That's something I've started to pick up on too. Her body language, it's just wrong. It's just
and it really reinforces our argument, right? Like, I mentioned a few of those moments in the argument against Ahsoka's script where when Barriss introduces herself to Ahsoka, it's the looks and the body language that kind of gives this secondary conversation to that scene where being disrespectful to Barriss.
Master, I should tell you why I spoke up before.
You don't have to explain anything.
Yeah, look at that body language. Like, what the heck is that?
It's literally, she's sulking. She's sulking that he says, don't worry about it.
Why?
Try to apologize to someone and they say, don't worry about it, and your reaction is to sulk? No, my reaction is relief. And okay, thank you for understanding. And, I really need to get it off my chest. Maybe I'll say something anyway. But I think honestly that they didn't have a good enough reason. I mean, unless the conversation they have later where she talks about how much Plo Koon means to her was going to be this conversation, but they just postponed it to later in the episode because they felt that flowed better.
Maybe they were just padding.
Given the medium, sometimes you have to do that because you can only make the episode so long, and
Right.
so.
But like, don't sacrifice your characters for padding.
Well, no, but what I mean is like if you tried to like expand it and then it went over what your actual runtime can be, but then it doesn't make sense to only cut out a little bit of something that you were writing, and so you have to cut out a bigger chunk in order to make everything that's left make sense, but then you're left with too little time, and so then you have to pad it. I kind of understand. Like, I can't understand doing a whole episode of padding, which is filler, but I can understand doing like a minute here, a minute there.
I can understand filler episodes if they're character based.
Having them
like, even with season 2 of The Mandalorian, like a lot of it is filler, but it's fun filler.
Well, I don't call it filler because every single episode does.
It indirectly ties in with the plot, so
yeah,
like you're constantly moving forward.
Yeah, instead of several steps forward every episode, you take one step forward. So It is a slower story, and yeah, you can call it filler, but it's purposeful, right? They're not just trying to fill time, they're trying to make space for the other elements of the story to get time to breathe.
Yeah.
Right? It's just about the plot, and it's not even just about the characters, it's about the world building too.
Yeah, it's so good.
I love The Mandalorian. It's
so good.
We have a discussion planned for The Mandalorian, however. This is not that discussion.
Yes, this is not that discussion. We are not talking about The Mandalorian. Why did you do that?
You started it.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. Okay.
No.
Sulking.
I guess she just really wanted to explain herself.
I guess so. Or maybe she feels like, given the way it is currently, he just doesn't want to listen to her because he told her earlier, don't talk, and he's telling her now, don't talk. So maybe she feels kind of like, oh, he doesn't want to listen to me. I don't know.
Oh, this is the part where she gets mad at him for doing what she wanted.
Tune the scanners for life forms. Highest sensitivity.
Why would we scan for life forms to spot an enemy weapon probably just filled with battle droids? The Obrigado system. Huh. So it's okay when you don't follow what the council says.
Doing what the Jedi Council says, that's one thing. How we go about doing it, that's another. That's what I'm trying to teach you, my young Padawan.
So you always meant to come out here for survivors?
Lives are in danger, Ahsoka. We can't just turn our backs on them.
That's what I said back in the briefing room.
I know, but the way you said it was wrong. Hurry up.
So, yeah.
I'm
trying to teach you something.
Yeah.
And she does not learn it. She does not. I don't care what all the Ahsoka worshippers say. She does not learn it. I think it would work better maybe if instead of being angry at him, she's just surprised. Like, wait, this is that system. Like, whoa, you were gonna do this anyway? And then he does his spiel and she's like, but that's what I said. And you know, it's the way you said it, right? Like,
Ahsoka, we might find something you don't want to find.
I know, Master, but I have to believe.
How do you know, Master Plo?
This is again Anakin being like sensitive.
Where we are in our reaction series, like as far as recording goes, we just watched the first episode of the Zagarian slaver arc. And think about the way she reacts to learning about, you know, what's bothering him versus here where he's learning what's bothering her.
Yeah, like, such a difference.
She asks Obi-Wan quite literally, like, what's his
problem?
And then when Obi-Wan tells her, her reaction is, just
take care.
Keep an eye on him, make sure he stays in line. Is this supposed to be her caring about him? Like, what? But here you have an example of someone who actually is showing sensitivity and care towards someone else.
And what she says in response is like, I know, but I have to try. It would have worked really well in the line we replaced earlier, where she was like, oh, Plo Koon.
Yeah, like Anakin maybe would say something like, even if we went, there might be nothing to find. And then she could be like, well, we have to try. And then, yeah, it would seem like he's not going to, and then he does.
It was Master Plo Koon who found me and brought me to the temple where I belonged. Now he's lost. So I thought maybe I could find him.
I do like that scene. Like,
it's good characterization for Ahsoka, but
like
then it never comes up again.
Yeah.
Like, it's obvious that she's close to Plo Koon. Like, she
it kind of makes me wish that Plo Koon was her master rather than Anakin.
Yeah, that's what Captain Fordo suggested as a fix for Ahsoka's character, and it makes so much more sense.
Because it seems like Plo Koon really likes Ahsoka too. Like, he seems to have a soft spot for her.
Yeah.
So it's like, why isn't she his Padawan? He doesn't have a Padawan, and she obviously has respect and care for him, so...
Giving Anakin a Padawan was such a stretch of logic. It was so stupid.
We made a quick stop in the Abrogado system.
A rescue mission, I suppose. You had other orders.
It was my idea, Master Obi-Wan.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, have you found any survivors?
It's interesting that she says it was her idea. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But, like, she has no authority. Saying, oh, it was my idea is not going to take the heat off of Anakin because it was his decision. If anything, it's going to be worse for him because it's like, okay, now you're taking, like, instructions from your Padawan? Like, what?
And that'd be a good excuse for them to take his Padawan away. I kind of wish they did do that.
But yeah, like, her comment, it does not make sense.
Yeah. Then again, so much of what she says doesn't make sense, so...
Yeah. But, like, notice the way Obi-Wan is here. Like, his attitude isn't like, oh, Anakin, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, here we go again.
Yeah.
Like, he this so many times with Anakin, and it's just more of an exasperation rather than actual, like, being upset. It's probably because he understands that Anakin makes sure that what he needs to do is taken care of before he just goes off and does his own thing. He doesn't need to be concerned about what Anakin has left behind, like what's going on with the fleet that he's supposed to be protecting. So Obi-Wan's just kind of like, sigh. I'm going to scold you because that's what I'm supposed to do, but like, you do test my patience.
This is why Obi-Wan is great, though.
He's amazing. He's probably my favorite character.
No, you were right. The Separatists don't want any witnesses.
All the more reason for you to rejoin the defensive escorts. We need you, Anakin.
But, like, he's being serious here, but like,
You don't hurry.
it's not scolding so much as like, just, hey,
I
come
love
on.
that too. Like, Anakin apologizes to Ahsoka again, being sensitive.
What is it?
Also, when Obi-Wan was, kind of, I don't know what, I guess scolding is the right word for it. Anakin was completely respectful toward him. He knows that he disobeyed orders, and he's taking responsibility for his actions, and, is kind of like, okay, I tried to do what I thought was right, but obviously there's nothing here. Sorry, I'll go right back to what I was supposed to be doing. He's not mad at Obi-Wan. He doesn't get upset that Obi-Wan is telling him off. He doesn't, like, as opposed to earlier in this episode when Ahsoka is throwing a temper tantrum when she's getting scolded. And literally every other time she gets scolded, she throws a temper tantrum. She takes no responsibility for her actions. Oh, but she learns from Anakin.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Her behavior is all his fault.
Are we gonna do anything about Ahsoka's stupid nicknames? I don't know if they were meant to make her endearing or whatever, or make her seem more like the child that she is, but it irks me. I hate her stupid nicknames. We kind of touched on this in our last reaction video, because we said, like, she gets mad at Anakin for calling her Snips all the time. She hates being treated like a child, but we established that if if someone doesn't want to be treated like a child, then they should not act like a child.
Like a child. It's hard for me because it's one of those things that it got started in the movie, and I don't know who started it. Did she call him Sky Guy first, and then he started calling her Snips, or was it the other way around? That would change things, in my opinion. So that's one of the reasons that I kind of want to watch the movie, just so that I have all the information. But either way, it depends on how you do it. Because the problem is that when she calls him Sky Guy, her tone of voice, her body language, when she chooses to do it, it just comes off as disrespectful rather than playful.
Yeah. With Anakin, it's more playful. He did do it after
earlier
he
in this
scolded her,
episode
too.
when he called her Snips.
It was
then,
right after he scolded her, yeah.
Yeah, it came off more as like it was not playful in that situation. So that's one of the things about nicknames, is that when you use them says a lot about what they're supposed to mean.
Yeah.
If you're mad at someone, you don't use their pet name. You use it when you're feeling loving toward them. And so, yeah, it's one of those things that it seems like they always use the nicknames when they're trying to like one up each other or something like that. And just kind of like poke at each other kind of thing, not in like a playful way, but in like a ribbing, like I don't even know. So I think the biggest problem with the nicknames is when and how they're used.
Right.
And so you have to change that about them. But I feel like it would be, because it's a master-student relationship rather than like friends or something like that, then it seems like endearing nicknames don't really have a place between them. So I would just eliminate them entirely.
Like in the case of Plo Koon, he calls her Little Soka, but you can tell it's an endearing name, and she never had a problem with him calling her that.
So yeah, it would, if it was to be used, it would be, I think, much more rare to hear it, because it would have to be in a certain context, and they don't have that context very much given what their relationship is. I feel like most of the Jedi Padawan relationships seem to be more professional than friendly. I think Obi-Wan and Anakin is probably one of the most friendly there is. The two of them, they're very relaxed around each other.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one, all the other pairings we see, they're much more professional.
But why aren't we finding anybody?
I don't know, Ahsoka. I don't know.
So I guess the life form scanner is very vague. It's like, yeah, there's life out there somewhere.
Yep.
It's up to you to find it. Somewhere around the planet.
Around.
But the Council feels your daring may put others in danger. Please listen to me, Anakin.
Look at her glare. He's right. What Palpatine is saying is right, but Ahsoka's like glaring at him, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, she has zero respect for anyone but herself.
Are you okay, Master Plo?
Maybe if instead of having her rush over to Plo and be like, are you okay? And everybody ignoring the clones, well, except for Anakin. You see Anakin's helping the clone here, whereas Ahsoka is only paying any attention to Plo Koon. It'd be better if she, like, as she ran in, was just kind of like to them all, like, are you guys okay? Like, kind of thing, right?
I'm sorry, Master Plo.
She obviously cares so much more for Plo Koon than she ever did for Anakin.
Yeah.
She would have been so much better off as Plo Koon's Padawan.
So much better. Why?
This reminds me of Jaws.
Cruiser crusher.
Why does she always state the obvious?
Well, I mean, that's something that's a problem with the show in general, right? Usually they give those kind of lines to the younger characters.
It's
like,
stupid and annoying, though.
Yeah, they talk about show versus tell. When you write like this, it's show and tell. It's like, no, you don't need to tell if you're already showing.
Yeah.
So just cut that out. Because yeah, they're not even showing the ship, they're showing her looking at the ship being like, wow, that's so big. It's like, no, just zoom up close to the ship, make it feel big. Show us something that we thought was big beside the ship, showing how big the ship is. Don't tell us, oh, it's a big ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Imagine having a show that did absolutely nothing but tell you what was happening. They had zero show and all tell.
I don't think that would be much of a show.
No, it wouldn't.
Oh, the puns. I mean, like, it's not bad to show people's reaction. Like, if instead of showing her face and have her saying as a big ship, just show their faces, show their reaction that they're like, oh, wow, right? Like, just,
You remember the 2003 Clone Wars scene with Mace Windu just going crazy? And they had that little kid standing up on the hill? And like, they didn't say anything to each other. But you could see, like, from the way the kid was reacting, it's just like, so amazed.
Well, it was kind of my reaction too.
Yeah, mine too. I don't think Ahsoka really has.
The medical droid.
Oh,
yeah, see there
again.
They have her state the obvious. It's like,
Oh
why?
my
It's
goodness.
obvious.
We can see. We can see.
Maybe it's because they just
Program the
want
hyperdrive.
dialogue. Maybe that's one of the problems of it's not a kids show, but it's marketed to kids. So they wrote it like a kids show, right? Like, it's weird because I mean, kids enjoy shows with literally no dialogue. I mean, watch Shaun the Sheep. It's hilariously entertaining. They never say a word. And so I don't understand why they feel this need to fill empty spaces with dialogue by having characters state obvious things. It's like, no, just let that moment be silent. Just let the music and, the rush of action build the intensity instead of having someone say, oh no, oh no, oh no.
Thanks for getting us out of there in one piece, General Skywalker.
You have my Padawan to thank for that?
No!
No! She did nothing!
The council report. Come on, Ahsoka.
You want me there? I figured because of before.
Ahsoka, through it all, you never gave up. You did a great job. But if I'm getting in trouble for this, you're going to share some of the blame too.
No,
So come on.
because
let's go.
the writers always make sure.
Just guy.
See, that's supposed to be one of those moments where it's being used endearingly, but I feel like the part of the problem is that the nickname Sky Guy just sucks. Literally, it does not flow well. It's a very weak, and it just, ugh.
That moment of self-doubt for Ahsoka, that was good. We need way more of that because she's always got this attitude, like, I am never wrong. The line where the clone's like, thanks for getting us out of there, and he's like, oh, you have Ahsoka to thank for that. I mean, like, she's partially responsible because she was the one who insisted that she was the one who sent Plo Koon and steered the ship in that direction.
I think that it would make more sense rather than like giving all the credit to her, being more specific, saying like, well, it was Ahsoka who sensed that you guys were still out there, or saying something like, well, Ahsoka deserves some thanks too, she never gave up. That thing.
But
rather
giving
than
all...
like, oh, well, you have Ahsoka to thank for that. It's like, well, sort of,
No.
but don't give her all the credit like that.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's just simple fixes in dialogue and such like that would improve things. And yeah, like that moment at the end where you have him say, if I'm gonna get in trouble for this, you're gonna get in trouble too. Like, that's fine. So Ahsoka could have very, 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 very easily been a better character.
Yeah.
Actual character growth. But right from the start, they just made her bad, and then they didn't let her grow.
Maybe this was like some kind of social experiment. maybe if we make a really bad character and then try to brainwash people into liking her and see if it works. Yeah, let's try that out. And
Yes.
it worked.
It worked.
Why the hell?
Off the top of my head, so the lesson that she was supposed to learn in this episode was it's not the disobeying that's the problem, it's how you disobey. So that was the first episode with Ahsoka.
Be sure to join us next time
for season 1, episode 3, and the garbage fire that is going to be. Be sure to like and subscribe, comment below with suggestions or fixes that you think would work.
Share this around with your friends and also consider becoming a patron.
Welcome to part 1 of our Clone Wars rewrite. We are currently We're off to a great start here.
Perfect.
Yes.
This is amazing.
Doing so well. Try that again.
Ba, 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 ba.